But you don't know this virus. It's new, it's different. It mutates and goes in different directions with a different strain of itself. So whether I'm present or absent, the Executive Council of the Nation of Islam must call our scientists.
Yes, sir.
Come and let's sit down.
Yes, sir.
Our virologists, our epidemiologists, those of us who know the science. We cannot let them bring anything to us that we don't dissect.
Still dissecting. Still
dissecting, Brother Lyle.
Listen, it's Thursday Talks, y'all. We on again. I mean,
come on, family.
I'm excited. It's Thursday. It's almost Friday. You see all the passion in my hands. This is a New York thing, y'all. I'm letting y'all know it's a New Yorker thing. Anyway, welcome in, audience. Greetings. Assalamu alaikum to everyone coming in. Y'all know what y'all do as y'all coming in. You know, grab a friend, auntie, uncle, daughter, daddy, mommy, brother, sister, anyone that you have around you that you believe that will benefit from what we have to say tonight. Come on in. And then you know what else you need to do as you're bringing them in, right?
Come on.
Like, share. And we're on YouTube and we're still on IG, right? So
do your part.
That's right. Just
like,
come on
share.
in. We're welcoming you in, very warm. And of course, you know how I always do. I always thank our Seventh Region Coalition. Okay. Just please.
We see you, we feel you, all of that. Yes, indeed.
That's right. Give them a salute. Hello. There it is. And then also to our team.
That's
do a
right.
lot behind the scenes, y'all. We got to give our little.
We still here.
Take that one here.
That's right.
High fives up there. You get high fives too, Brother Tony. Since
That's
Kalila
right.
working, so
I'm working.
You keep
There
working,
you
Sister
go.
Kalila.
Come on, y'all.
You
That's
keep
right.
high fiving them people who better get them people on today before they get on their nerves tomorrow. Y'all better go get your peoples.
That's right.
I'm gonna do Kung Fu style.
Right? That's it.
Yep.
Look,
So listen.
shout out to my bestie, Sean.
Come on.
Thank you, Bestie, for coming on. So listen, again, we got a good program tonight. You know how we keep it. Listen, what we always say this. Let's keep it moving because we got a lot of stuff going on, right? Good stuff, actually. Good conversations this evening. So thank you for joining us. Please continue to stay with us this evening. Got a lot of good information that we're going to be able to share. And of course, and then we'll kind of do a little stroll down memory lane before we get started. So before we get started, right? I am your sister, Michelle. I am your moderator for this evening. Okay.
Hostess with the mostest. You ain't getting by without getting that love for our hostess with the mostest, family.
That's right.
Thank you for laughing. Thank you for Tony. Anywho, all right. Well, anyway, I'm going to pass it along. But before I pass it to Brother Lau, please make sure you grab someone, tag him into the comment area, bring him into the conversation, because we really, really want you all to hear what we have to say. It's good information. And then really also, too, to meet our special guest this evening. You don't want to miss that because you know we got the bomb guest on this particular show, Thursday Night Talks. Just telling you right there. Okay. Anyway, Brother Lau, I'm going to turn it over here to you, sir.
I got it.
Yeah, there you go.
I got it. Yeah. The race continues.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, mighty sister Michelle Muhammad. Family, you know how we roll around this beautiful, beautiful time of the week. Assalamu alaikum to my Muslim brothers and sisters. Praise the Lord to my Christian brothers and sisters. Umgawa Black Power to my Black revolutionaries and to all you peace and freedom-loving people across the land. Peace and blessings to you and welcome to this beautiful, beautiful, I know it looks square, but this table is very, very round, family.
That's right.
And the information you're going to receive is very, very sound, family. And if you want to stay on this side and still be sticking around, family, go tell them people to like, share. Come on, go get them folk, family. Very powerful, powerful piece as we go into part 2 of a powerful program. But I know some of you are wondering right now, the 7th Region Coalition. Think about it like this, family. Think about a people that are traveling through some real treacherous and real dangerous waters with no light.
Right.
Now picture people traveling
That
through those
sink in.
same treacherous and dangerous waters with light to guide the ship safely to the other side. And I'm so thankful for this beautiful team that we have assembled here. And we're so thankful for the call of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for us to be students and to make sure that we look into everything and what our people are to receive. And we built for you a house, a library of information and inspiration. But so that lighthouse, think about that when you say the Seventh Region Coalition. So I'm going to pause right there. And I'm just going to remind you that this is a very powerful program and it's participatory. So we want you to be involved tonight. So get yourself comfortable, family. Assalamu alaikum, mighty sister Kalila.
Wa alaikum salam. As you see, my little look.
Now you got to do it like this. Last dragon.
You are the last dragon. Okay, look, I'm testing my green screen.
It's testing you.
Oh, in the most holy name of Allah, bear witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. I would like to greet everyone in the greeting words of peace in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. Brother, look, Brother Rich, I see you. Stay safe. I hear you. Listen, I just need you to listen. Don't look.
Right. Don't participate with your hands. You keep doing what you're doing, brother. Right
I just need you to listen, brother. I'm glad you.
10
I'm right. I'm glad you own. Because this is going to be a very powerful show. I encourage because I too are practicing this type of meditation. I'm also trying to be centered. And right now, in the world that we're living in, it's not like it used to be. And I'm just speaking from the experience ramification of, the door open method where you can just open your door and everything was okay. Now everyone has to have an alarm on everything now. And now only we have to have an alarm on our physical manifestation. We have to have an alarm on our mental manifestation because it's real.
That's right.
And the alarm is, are we losing our mind and why? Is there an alarm that's awakening us right now that gives us the opportunity to reflect before we break? And this is where meditation will help that.
Come on.
Okay. So I'm encouraging everyone to please like, share, and enjoy the conversation that we're going to have, because it's going to be very informative, but it's going to be also needed. Not only just for you, but just for your family, because we don't know, today may be our last day that we see each other because of the breaking points that we have had in our lives. So I'm going to turn it over to my dear brother Tony. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Peace, Otep, Shalom. Abaragani, buenos dias, sak pase. ¿Qué pasa? What's happening?
All of that.
Assalamu alaikum.
All that.
Alaikum salam and all of that.
And it's always an honor and a pleasure being on here on this platform with my brothers and sisters, helping to guide our people safely in this hour.
That's
As
right.
Brother Lyle put it, this is a lighthouse, not like the lighthouse that was created around the 1830s in Key Biscayne, which there was a particular intention with that lighthouse, Brother Lyle, because a lot of our people were trying to escape Florida around that time. And white people were trying to get our indigenous family to enslave us. And so our indigenous family was helping us escape by way of ships from the Bahamas. And see, today it's reflective of the condition today. Our open enemy wants to shackle us, wants to buy into ideas that are not true for commercial purposes. Regardless to whatever the intention is, we ourselves have the best intention for our people. We are a lighthouse for the true intention of what a lighthouse is, and that is to guide our people to safety in this hour.
That's right.
And
This helps
so
save lives. That's right.
it is of vital importance for us right now to keep sane, because a lot of us are losing it.
Yes.
A lot of us are giving up, and giving up does not mean, necessarily that we take our lives oftentimes, but we are taking our lives sometimes very slowly or very rapidly by consuming things that might feel good temporarily, but they're really killing us. What are some ways that we can get focused and do what's right for us? And in the end, feel good about ourselves and physically feel good. And so I look forward to this discussion here tonight, Brother Lyle, Sister Michelle, and Sister Kalila.
Awesome. Get your peoples.
Get your peoples.
Me and you, your mama and your cousins too.
That's right.
We're gonna do this like Outcast. And the Last Dragon too. Who is the master? I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
I tell you what though, family, right? Because we might want to, Brother Tony, you said something that really struck a chord.
Come on.
And it's, what was it, James Brown that talked about starting off on a good foot.
That's right.
Right. And family, you would be faking a smile and being blind about the plague of sorrow, the plague, the pandemic of depression, the pandemic right now of suicide, and its overwhelming effect on a very particular age group. It's very real, family.
Yes.
And so I have to give honor to this mighty team for dedicating this time that we spend, that you get solutions, family, solutions that can help save lives. But I think it's only right, in light of what Brother, the last show we did, part 1 on meditation, and before that we did a show on mental health.
Yes, sir.
Is before we bring up our special guests, if each of you can just kind of give a reflection on your own personal thoughts, on the last show we did, meditation part 1, your own personal thoughts on the show we did before that on mental health awareness.
Brother Lyle, if I could comment, because I deal with children on the regular, practically every day in my classroom. One thing that I've been very conscientious to do, I've made a concerted effort to, no matter what's going on throughout the day, that period in between periods. I remember our brother who had the album. Oh my God,
Brother Devin, Uncle Dev,
Uncle Devin. It made me think about children-friendly music. While students are going out of my class and coming into my class, I've been putting on some relaxing music. Sometimes some behind some hip hop beats or whatnot, some boom bap hip hop beats, which are very relaxing. I was playing some some Jay Dilla today, Jay Dilla instrumentals. And people would just, my students were just coming in. They're little people, but they were coming in. They're more at ease with the music. And right after that, I'm able to talk to them. It's very important that we set the tone to talk to our people by doing little things like that, being in control of environments, setting the tone to be able for our people to get their minds right. And that does go along with our topic here tonight on meditation.
Beautiful, Brother Tony.
Praise be to Allah.
Go ahead, Sister Kalila.
Yeah, like I said, this is very new to me. And I really want to become a master of meditation because of what the marvelous things I have heard that it has done. What really touched me was that segment that you shared with us, Brother Lau, by our dear and late brother, Kobe. And he starts his day. I always say, not only starting your day, but starting your life, because you never know what your day can create based off of your life. It can create a turn for the good. It can also create a turn for the bad. We never know what your life expectancy is. But the way he starts his day is with meditation. It sets the mood for his day. It allows him to be calm when chaos erupts. It allows him to be still when things are still moving. It allows him to balance when everything is unbalanced in the world. So I want to be within that balancing part of my life. So therefore, I don't reflect what the world is reflecting from. I don't want to gravitate from what the world is gravitating from. I want to be able to be still during chaos and still be at peace. So that's what I want to learn and become mastery of.
Beautiful. You're going to love our guest tonight, Sister Kalila.
Hey, I'm excited.
Love our guest.
I was going to say it's exciting, but what I can say is from the last two shows is I think it was very important that he brought up some of the things that we were talking about. I mean, we went from, how social media may affect the child. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's, where did you miss the mark when it comes down to, your children, just getting a hold of, kind of where we are mentally, right? The stresses that are happening right now, the pandemic, being closed in and confined for certain periods of time. People are losing hope. And so I think that was impactful for me. I think the other thing is the meditation is starting to talk about some of the solutions, because he gave some solutions, but the meditation is one way to kind of help calm the mind down, trying to figure out what's happening and get into present time. And that's what helps us, because anytime depression or anything comes, we know we're not in present time because it's not happening. Anytime someone's depressed or sad, they're really removed from the present moment.
Right.
So this mindfulness is what we were talking about in the meditation. That is what I love. You know what I mean? I've had stresses, and I find that meditation for me in the morning, and what was great about the last show is that it just kind of proves it helps you set the tone. And when we start to give our audience those types of solutions, now we're arming them with methods and solutions that they can actually use.
So beautifully said. And I'm going to tell you, family, if you listen to our brothers and sisters, look, if you go to our Facebook page right now, there's all types of things. Look, there's a message on there about why you should be grateful for nothing else, just for right now, today.
Right.
A little message. There's a beautiful message by student minister Ishmael Muhammad that deals with the struggles of life. And of course, there's snippets of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan about what we're made to overcome. So family, whenever you need those little shots, those little jokes, when you get that 1-2 from the world, go and get your proper medicine.
That's
Come
right.
on.
Your proper medicine. And so with that being said, just before we bring our guest up, because we do have to deal with, we're talking about saving lives, and we're taught and we value every single life. And sure enough, as it is, once we went away last week, that another celebrity figure, if you will, made a decision that ended in the result of taking her own life.
Yes, sir.
And I want to share a piece about it as we get into this topic matter. And of course, our prayers and condolences are with those family members.
Yes, sir.
And we always want to keep our brothers and sisters in prayer. And as a matter of fact, folk, why don't you take a second right now while some of our brothers and sisters who are on this side still living, walking, talking, and breathing, and in your mind, throw them some energy, throw them a prayer, a good deed. You know, it's going to be all right, and you can do it once you get off here. But what's important about showing this piece is the way it's presented is they concentrated on our beloved sister's value in terms of her net worth and not her self-worth.
My God.
And so before we bring up our brother, I want to share something that it's a visual. It's like a little slideshow. And in the slideshow, I want you to think about what happens when we get judged and measured by our net worth instead of being judged and valued by our net worth, which, as Sister Kalila advertised, that power is inside.
Right.
That's right.
Soul. So let's take a look at this, family. Take it back to the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
That's our sister.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Are we working on the volume?
There's no volume, sir.
There's no volume? Okay.
It's for you to look at and to visualize.
All right. Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow.
So I want to pause there, family, and I really want us to think about what this world has done to us in terms of how we value ourselves. When you talk about the brother we're about to bring up right now, you know what? I'm gonna introduce him, but I want people to see him. You know, because he plays such a key role in transforming minds and transcending barriers that so many of our brothers and sisters in this world know their self-worth. Right. Know their self-worth. You know, and that's what our message is going to be tonight, that these tactics and these techniques and what we learn, it helps you tap and tune within. So if we can bring our brother up, I want to introduce this brother who you see sitting over here. I know you see his name, but let me, I'm gonna give you one of those authentic bios. All right. You know, let me start off by saying to you that this brother who's before us right now is one of the most studious individuals when it comes to understanding the reality of our culture, the reality of our practices as a people. He also is a master of so many things. You might not know it, but you're looking at a single father. You know, I don't want to get the number wrong. Who's raised, is it 5, brother? I got the number right?
It's close.
It's close. All right.
Well, technically 5 was right. Then it's 4 now. We're down, so it's 4.
That's right. You know, because when you do it well, they get out the nest and you're still just, I feel you. But a single father, family, right? Right. A joint choice of the family because of who and what that brother is and what he could give his children at that time.
Wow.
Right. You're also looking at a brother who not only taught his own children, but can teach, you ready for this? Any child to read within a matter of days.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Days.
Wow.
Right? You know, we also like to say about our brother is that some of you might remember a couple years ago in Miami, 9 men went on a hunger strike to protest against gun violence.
I remember that.
And so that brother you see right there went 21 and a half days with no food and just water.
Wow.
He is a student of many, many sciences, and one, he is also a student of meditation. And what we're going to be talking about tonight, he's also, don't let the smooth taste fool you, he's also been an international boxer, well known, representing this country and others beyond. Right? And I will also say, our dear beloved brother, he loves our people. So I present to you, to take us deeper into our discussion on meditation, our beloved brother. Y'all give him some love, Brother Melvin L. Give him some love, dear family.
Welcome.
Brother.
Okay, no problem. So, I guess there was someone talking about meditation the last time, because you said this is part 2.
Yes.
Well, I'm not exactly sure because I wasn't here for the first part. And so I know typically when I talk about meditation and I'm speaking to people who probably have never meditated, and they just tend to think that meditation is somebody closing their eyes and not falling asleep. And so I like to talk about meditation from a slightly different viewpoint, and connect it to the thing that connected me to meditation was yoga. In fact, I don't know if any of you've ever done yoga before. I know you have, Brother Lau. Talking about some of the other people that may be on the call. And so yoga in itself, that word, people does not understand, that word means unity. And what is yoga unifying? Yoga is unifying first the body itself.
That's right.
And what is the number one component of yoga? Most people think the most important component of yoga is the poses or the stance or the different things, that movement that happens in yoga. But the number one, and without a doubt, one of the most powerful components of yoga is the breath, breathing. And so you say, well, why is breathing so important? Why is it so powerful? You got to understand, obviously, breath is the number one reason we live. We can go,
that's right.
We can literally go days without eating. In fact,
you know about that, huh?
I've actually tested that one. You know, that sounds good until you do it. And so, and I'll be honest. After the first week of being on that hunger strike, we kind of forgot about eating. And in fact, it actually got easier after maybe 3 days of not eating. I would say the hardest part was maybe the first 3 days. After that, we forgot we didn't eat. It was like, in fact, I still to this day question, do we need to eat as much as we do? And I to this day still eat far less than I used to, because after that experience, it really lets you know that we don't have to eat as much as we've been told to eat, like these 3 meals a day. And so anyway, even in the Hunger 9, we did yoga, which was a very powerful component. And so the yoga component, and the reason I like to take the yoga component, because it not only connects us to one of the most powerful components that we need to live, which is breath, which is one of the number one components of yoga, but yoga is also one of our most ancient practices that goes back, we can't even count, hundreds of thousands of years yoga has been done. There was a point in time, obviously hundreds of thousands of years ago, where yoga was probably done all over the world in sequence as a common practice. But of course, that's no longer a common practice, but yoga is making a comeback. And maybe because it is time for it to come back. Right. And so breath, what is so powerful about breath? And I typically, when I teach my work readiness class, and I have people from all walks of life in the class, and I ask them, what is the proper way to breathe? And the proper way to breathe is the way your babies breathe. So I ask my sisters, because sometimes brothers have problems with this one, but the sisters never have problems with this one. When your baby was in the crib and the baby was breathing, what was going up and down?
The stomach.
The stomach. Why was the stomach going up and down?
That's the diaphragm.
That is the proper way to breathe. But did you know, I don't know if you've actually zoomed in on your children, the average child, when they become 5, 6, 7 years old, they stop breathing from their diaphragm and they start breathing from their chest.
Right.
And why do they stop breathing from their chest?
That's a good question.
Good question.
Have we been conditioned, Brother Melvin?
We've definitely been conditioned.
Come on.
So the reason they stop breathing from their diaphragm is because us, the parents, transfer our stress onto them.
Woo!
Melvin,
wait a minute, Melvin. My headphone just went out. Could you repeat what you just said? You said something about we transfer something to what?
Right. We transfer our stress onto our children unconsciously. We do not do this on purpose. We don't stress our children out because we're yelling at them. We don't stress them out because we're telling them to do this and that or disciplining them. That is not how they receive this stress. They receive this stress is because energy transfers, meaning particularly when you are the parent, you are the alpha, and alpha is actually a state of the mindset, which the alpha has many different meanings, but when you're talking about the mind wavelengths, there are several different, and alpha is one of them, and is in that alpha state where healing can take place or problems can be solved. And so what happens is parents, mothers, and fathers, we are the alphas in that particular child's life. And because we're the alphas, our energy overtakes their energy. And in my classes, I would normally say to my class that the best way to see, because some people don't understand how easy energy transfers from one person to the other person, but sisters, without a doubt, are the best way to seeing how this works. And what I mean by that, if you ask the average sister who's worked on a job longer than a month or two, and they were around at least 4 or 5 other sisters or other women, and their cycle came on at the beginning of the month, the middle of the month, the end of the month, whenever it came on, and then they started working around these other sisters, and then all of a sudden, their cycle was at the beginning of the month.
Everybody's cycle.
And so the women start talking amongst themselves like, man, my cycle changed, my. And then there's usually one sister whose cycle didn't change. And the reason the one sister's cycle didn't change was because she was a more powerful alpha, and she had an effect on all the other women's and changed their cycle to her cycle. And thus her energy, because she was a true natural leader, caused their energy to change. And all the other women's cycle is now at the beginning of the month because hers is at the beginning of the month. And so it's just a simple way of seeing how energy is transferred from one person to the next person. And when you begin to understand this consciously,
Mel,
yes,
I need you to pause right there, because we opened up talking about the sister Chelsea Christ, and it didn't dawn on me now until hearing you speak. For those who don't know, she took on the cases and the pain of suffering for individuals, I believe, that were either battling wrongful court cases or something. So she was taking on a lot of that energy.
A lot of stress.
A lot of negative energy.
Wow, I didn't think about it until you spoke, my brother. Thank you. Go ahead.
And of course, she was probably around some very powerful alphas. And their energy, without a doubt, could imprint on her energy. And without knowing how to protect your energy in toxic environments, you can easily find yourself in a very similar situation. Because if you've never been taught how to protect your energy, even how energy works, and people don't understand because it's unseen, we think it's not real. Because we live in a society where the highest level of truth is concrete evidence. if you can't see it, you can't touch it. Oh, it ain't real. You know, that's not evidence. You know, and so of course that's not our highest level of truth. When I say our highest level of truth, is not the physical, because we know that there are things that are unseen that is just as real as things that are seen.
Right.
And so,
just like the air we breathe.
Absolutely, we cannot see it, but yet without it,
girls don't need it.
Absolutely.
Brother Melvin, in Dianetics, they call it the contagion of aberration.
Absolutely.
So it transfers from one person to another, as the most dominant person transfers all that negativity or positivity,
right,
depending on the state,
right,
to the child, to everybody else in the environment.
So yeah,
how do we reverse that?
I was about to say
meditation.
Thank you.
How is meditation a tool that if you didn't have my attention before, you got it now? Right? Okay.
And these
how's it a tool
generational curses
that
yes.
could be used there?
Help us, Brother Melvin. Help us.
And these generational curses, brother.
Oh my
what one I would say, which I had already planned to get to that.
Oh, Brother Melvin, that's fine.
And I'm gonna get to it relatively, because I already had a mindset, and I don't want to lose the things that I want.
Okay, please
go
ahead.
But I will. But
do you, my brother? Do you?
But I will say this, as in, and it's coming like in the next 5 minutes. But what I would say is understanding, one, how the brain works, how when just talk a little bit about how the brain works. One, understanding that gives you keys to how do you protect yourself. Meaning, when you understand that the brain is a chemical factory, and this chemical factory releases two types of chemicals. It releases positive chemicals, negative chemicals. And what technically they're not necessarily negative chemicals, but they're chemicals that can be extremely toxic if they're left in the system too long.
Excellent.
And so let's say it that way. And so what do I mean? When we do something good and we feel happy, our brain releases serotonin or dopamine, which is where the word dope comes from. It's trying to mimic something that happens naturally in the brain. And so understand that sadness is not necessarily a bad thing. Anger isn't a bad thing. And a lot of the feelings we feel is not necessarily bad feelings. The problem isn't the feeling itself, it's the feeling lasting too long or never being dealt with, or nobody knowing how to deal with these particular feelings, and these feelings begin to take over and persist longer than they should, and then is when the problems happen, and they begin to damage the whole ecosystem of your body, which is known as your immune system.
That's
because now, which is the number one reason people go to the hospital, because of stress and the chemicals that are coming. Why? The question is why would the force that made the universe release chemicals into our consciousness that is bad for us? Why did the force? And I asked these questions. This is the question that I asked, and the answer came shortly after I asked the question. And the question was why, but I don't understand that. What the reason that is because we were not created to be in angry and sad states for long periods of time. And the point of releasing those chemicals was to shock you out of that state, because staying in that state goes against the force that was created and gave you life that you live. And so when you begin to understand the simple basic principles, and I'm trying to keep it simple as possible without using any big words or trying to make it complicated.
Thank you, Brother Melvin.
I want to get into people talking about what's an alpha state and data state. And so I don't want to use the fancy words.
Hey, I know it's a crazy state. If you ain't listening to this brother right now, that's a crazy state right there, boy. Woo.
Hello. That's right, Brother Lau.
Brother Melvin, in just bearing witness to what you're talking about, my brother. When I've been in situations where I wouldn't get enough rest, or I would be angry and experiencing that prolonged anger because I'm living, not living, but working in a stressful, toxic environment where people are backbiting each other
400 years
all
of that kind
the time.
of anger.
Come on, man. That's our condition in America. Or feeling very sad. It was in those moments in my life that, of course, viruses are always floating around in the air, especially when you're teaching children. I've gotten sick during those times. You know, it's very easy to catch a virus during that time. And so our mental health does determine and it influences our physical health.
Right.
And,
And here are things that those of you who love looking up and Google things and trying to Google, here's some things if you really want to waste time just doing some stuff, at least do something that actually could benefit you. And
it's not really a waste of time when we're doing it like that, brother.
Well, I'm not saying necessarily you, but I know some people, they just all day on there. And one of the things I would recommend looking up is the studies where they have done on the power of meditation and how has meditation been utilized to change the state. See, what you were talking about is that state of being angry because things are not going well, or you are not able to change something you wouldn't intended to be able to change, and trying to change something you wasn't created to change. And knowing that you can't change it will stop you from trying to change it. And thus you will not have to experience the stress that will go with that. And that's the whole point. And so the key to understanding that stress is a decision.
Whoa.
Ooh. I can bear witness to that. No, I can bear witness to that.
Okay,
stress is a decision.
Stress is a decision. Now, this connects to how you protect yourself from the energy. Believe it or not. Stress is a decision, meaning you decide, meaning something happens, and don't get me wrong, something happens. Like I remember one of my saddest moments. Actually, my grandmother was my father just transitioned last year. But that wasn't really a super sad moment for me because not that it's because he was 92 years old, and we all thought he was going to live to be 100 because he always said he was going to live to be 100. And so we was expecting him to make it to 100, but even though he didn't make it to 100, he was 92 years old when he was in the hospital, and you looked in his eyes, you saw no fear. He knew he was going. We all felt he might be going, but he knew he was going. And the way he talked and the way he sat and he looked at us, there was no fear. And because I had so much time with my father, meaning I would without a doubt, probably out of all of his children, and because Papa was a Rolling Stone, he had quite a few children.
I can relate.
I would give you a number if I had one. I don't think he had a number. Meaning of how many. So don't judge a brother.
Thank you, Brother Melvin.
I probably shouldn't have put that out there.
Right. It's already out there. That's what
you put it out there, beloved.
You good.
Hi, Dad.
You can continue, Brother Melvin.
But anyway, my father, man, I had a large amount of time. I would sit down with him. He would tell me stories. And a lot of my stories that I would tell my class is my father's stories. And I don't tell them the way he told them. My father, when he told a story, he told the same story, the same way, the same emotion, at the same point, same passion. I mean, it was identical. It was crazy.
Is that right?
I don't do that.
Okay.
I can tell the same story.
Is that what you think?
No, I can tell you. I tell the same story 100 times differently every time I change it. And so anyway, my father, and so when he left, it was like I had so much time with him. None of his children was sad that he left because he prepped all of us that, you know, he was leaving, and it was such a powerful thing. I didn't have the sadness. My grandmother, though, when she went, it was, although she was in her late 70s, and she was in good shape, and then just like one day she's really good, and next day she's in a hospital on the edge. And so, and the number one reason why I was so sad about my grandmother, she didn't like me much as a child growing up, and she didn't say it directly, but you didn't have to, and she didn't have to, because I looked just like my father. If you wonder how my father looked, well, you're looking at him, because I do look just like my father, and so she didn't like my father, and because I look just like my father, well, she didn't like me very much, and she treated me some type of way, but I didn't really care much for it. I didn't pay much attention to it. And so when I moved to Las Vegas to continue my boxing career, and I moved back, and I had changed and went through so many different things into a whole level of consciousness by meeting the people that I've met, and learning not just meditation, but a whole nother reality. And so I came to my aunt's house, and my grandmother was living with my aunt, and I started sharing some videotapes with my aunt, and the videotapes was extremely conscious video. I won't get into what consciousness is, but I'm talking next level consciousness, right? And I made it very clear to my aunt, please don't let grandmother see this stuff, because man, she's not gonna like any of this stuff, because she was like a Christian to the core, right?
Bible Belt.
Huh?
Bible Belt.
Exactly, right.
If it ain't the Bible, it ain't happening.
It's not happening. She was in the church at least 3 to 4 times a week, that kind of person. And so I was like, you can't let her see this, right? And so anyway, I used to bring these videos to my aunt's house all the time, and then one of the times I come, my grandmother is sitting down watching the video with her. And while I walk through the front door, because her son lets me in, I get to her room, something kind of stops me, and I peek around the corner, and my grandmother's in there. I leave her house. I don't even go in. And I come back on Sunday, because I know she's not going to be in there on Sunday because she at church. And so, I say, Auntie, why did you show that to grandmother? And she was like, well, I didn't. She just came in, sat down, and she loved it more than I did. And she'd been watching videos every day. And I'm like, you lied. So I come back. I'm not making this up. So my grandmother, she's watching these videos that the average regular Christian probably was like, And so it's just some levels of high consciousness where once you begin to understand that all religions have a lot of things in common because they come from a common place. And so she began to see that, and my grandmother, she started talking to me about things that were Christian, that was really on the same level of consciousness that I was learning from some people who was like completely against Christianity, but her spirituality was on a whole nother platform. And I never understood or knew that my grandmother had those things. So finally, I get to connect with my grandmother. I'm talking to this woman every day. She gets sick, and she about to check out a year after I done got to
right.
And now you about to leave. This is not cool. And so she leaves, and I remember one of my teachers, because I was sad for like 4 or 5 days, which is uncommon for me because I've been trained. And about the 7th day, one of my teachers pop in my head and go, "What are you doing? You know, you can't do this long, because you dishonoring your grandmother rather than honoring her, and this isn't helping her or you." And so I snap out of it, and then I choose not to be sad anymore, because I chose to look at the fact that she was no longer living anymore, rather than choosing to look at the fact that I had a chance to do what some people in this world never get a chance to do, connect with a family member that they didn't connect with the majority of their life. But right before they leave, the last year of her life, I've probably had more deep conversations with her than probably any other person in our family.
Wow.
So I chose to focus on that. And instantly, all of the things I was feeling went away. And I started utilizing my own lessons that were given to me by my teachers. I chose to be sad. And if I hadn't pulled myself out of that, no telling what could have happened. And so, one, knowing that you have the right to choose to follow a path or take a feeling or an emotion or a feeling and run with it. And when these feelings or these forces come on you, and you know, particularly if you know yourself, something is different, you don't necessarily have to know what it is to know that it's different from what you are used to feeling. Because these forces, just like that, and trust me, these forces, they are here. And not all of them are coming from other people. They have some that are mechanical that we can still defend against once we understand that basic point, that our force field can be activated simply by going, that force isn't for me. And your subconscious do the rest.
So, Brother Mel, let's do two things, right? Because
Okay.
I want you to actually have an opportunity, because you got a lot of brothers and sisters now. Well, how do I start? How I begin? But I think a good segue into that, if you can just think of something you want to take us through, whether it's a breathing technique or whatever, I'll leave that up to you. But it's important because you talk about so much about what people are going through and dealing with right now. And I just want to share this quote very quickly from our beloved sister, Alice Walker. For those of you, she said a lot of powerful things, of course.
Yes, sir.
But it kind of sums up what Brother Melvin was sharing with us about identifying with the reality of that power that we have within. But with that being said, Brother Melvin, as I pull it up, because of course it always disappears right when you need it, just go ahead and take us through something basic that we all could participate in, and I'll find the tab to pull.
Okay, cool. Here's the strangest thing, Brother Lau. One of our students from maybe 4 years ago, she calls me today, like about 6 o'clock, maybe an hour before I'm getting on this call. And she calls me. The technical reason for her calling me was because she wanted me to, she's getting a job and kind of co-sign for it.
Okay.
But she was having a lot of stress. And then, so I end up telling her the same things I'm about to do right now, reminding her of the things that she learned in class. And one of the things, because she's a thinker, highly intelligent sister. She's a thinker. And when you are a thinker and you're highly intelligent, it's sometimes very hard to stop your brain from thinking. And your brain is just constantly going, what about this? What about this? You got 50 million things happening. How do you stop that? Simple. And I had to remind her, the crazy thing is it's so easy and so simple that you gotta, is that easy? And all you have to do to first, before you can get into a meditative state, is to stop your brain from running. And how do you do that? You take both of your eyes and you look at the tip of your nose.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So are we closing our eyes?
No.
And looking?
No. You eyes open. Look at the tip. Now, let me put out a disclaimer.
Am I going to end up cross-eyed with Melvin?
Okay. Wait a second. Come back in.
Okay.
Now, you're not going to become cross-eyed, but because you are not used to looking at the tip of your nose, you may strain your eyes a little bit. But your eyes, it's like your brain. It's like your arms. It's a muscle. And the more you use it, the muscle gets stronger. And so eventually, just as a disclaimer, you won't be able to look at your nose long because your eyes are going to get tired because it's not used to doing that. Keep practicing. Practice doesn't necessarily make perfect, but it makes progress. perfect practice would make perfect, but practice will make progress. And so
explain the science behind that, Mel, how me looking down at my nose helps to calm and center the mind, the brain.
I can't break down the complete science of why when you look at the tip of your nose, your brain shuts down. I never learned the science behind why it does that. I can tell you it will do that because I've had, at this point, hundreds, maybe thousands of students that's able to stop their brains. And once you master it, and sister, to answer your question, once you start looking at your nose and your eyes have been trained to do that for longer periods of time, you now can close your eyes and you will literally still see your nose and your brain will still be in that state. And then now the next thing you would want to do is connect to your most powerful component of life, and that is breath. And that is not only breathing, but breathing a particular way. And that is breathing from your diaphragm. And how you do that after not doing it for such a long time is you literally have to breathe in through your nose and push the air into your stomach. You literally have to force it. But the good news is after doing it for a while, it'll get easier. And I told her, because I know who I was talking to, she's one of those real thinkers. And if you are one of those people who have one of those brains that really go hard, there's some other things you can add to that, which is you can run. And you would have to run for at least a half a mile. You don't have to sprint, but you got to run at a decent pace. At least run for a half a mile. And when you run, you don't have to think about breathing from your diaphragm. You automatically, that's not necessary. You don't have to force any air into your diaphragm. Yeah. And so your biology automatically kicks in because it's forced to, because you're taking in so much oxygen, and if it doesn't send it to your stomach, you won't be able. You probably pass out. And so, so if you are somebody who's an extreme thinker and you say, "Man, I done tried this meditation and it doesn't work for me," I'm giving you some. These are for the hardcore people who've really tried but hasn't been able to do it. You're gonna have to run, and you say, "Well, I'm not much of a runner." Well, you can do jumping jacks. You have to do it for quite a while, but you got to take your oxygen level up a couple notches in order to naturally access your proper breathing capabilities. And also, when you move, the mind grooves. Meaning, the number one problem is you are in a state of either sadness, anger, disappointment. Whatever your state in, you are in a state. What does running, jumping jacks, any exercise, it automatically changes your state.
Wow.
So you can change your state before meditating. So before meditating or doing the things that I'm telling you to do some jumping jacks. It automatically changes your state. And so secondly, so let's kind of create a little order, a little list. So particularly for the hardcore people, you can run. You got to run for at least half a mile. And you're going to have to do some, if you're going to stay inside and do jumping jacks, maybe because it's cold, you're going to have to do it for at least maybe 15 minutes, at least maybe 10. Exercise. Secondly, sit down in a chair. Sit down in a chair. Do not lay down when you're first starting to learn how to meditate, because you'll just fall asleep and you won't get any of the benefits. And so when you're going to run or exercise, look at your nose and then breathe from your diaphragm. Once you start breathing from your diaphragm and you're doing it properly, you are now going to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, the next things you would do is you would acknowledge key components in your body that holds on to stress, anger, ancient worries and some future worries that hasn't even happened yet. That people create out of nothingness, and they are afraid of the future that they've created that may not even happen.
Wow.
Come on, Brother Melvin.
And so, Brother Loud, I have been thinking about doing some meditation classes and working and bringing people to some new states. So it may be one of the things I may be doing, because right now I'm doing finances, and when we start talking money with some people, you can literally see what I can see. When you start talking about money with our people and not spending it in rash, increments, you can see the effects it has on them. And that is
the decision they made with that stress, huh?
Exactly. And so that state needs to be addressed. And so so these are some of the reasons I've been thinking about doing these classes, and particularly with some of the people that are becoming my customers and the new business that I'm starting. And so, but this is not just about the business. This is about people who are, if there was ever a time you wanted to start meditating, in a time where fear has become a normal part of our day and our state, and fear is without a doubt one of the number one components that can take your normal state out of its healthy state and then put it into an unhealthy state, because all the negative chemicals that are being released, because you are no longer in a good state. This is why meditation, if really understood, would be incredibly valuable to learn to master at this particular time. So just to make sure that we can understand how to utilize this from the basics and those components that I've given you, if you just take those basic components and build on them. Lastly, music. There is no better way.
I love music
than music. Now, some of our brothers and sisters, when I talk about music, they only think about one type of music. And that particular type of music won't bring about the state that I'm talking about. Right. What music am I talking about? Rap. Well, it won't bring about the state I'm talking about. Don't get me wrong, rap music can take you out. Now, there are states that rap can take you out of. Meaning, normally after teaching a work readiness class for 7 years now, and we've had hundreds of thousands of people who were connected to substances, and they stopped using the substance in days. We have people, I'm talking stop on a dime, and they call me. In fact, the sister that just called me is one of the people that stopped on a dime and stopped using drugs like that. And I'm telling you, people still can't believe that somebody just stopped just like that. And one of the ways they were able to stop just like that, because I was able to give them things, because people who medicate, they medicate because they go into a certain state. Right. And I let them know that to avoid going in that state, the second you see that state coming about, what must you do? First thing you do is you get a playlist. You use music and you get a playlist to change your state of mind. You need at least a minimum of 10 to 20 songs. I'm talking songs that get you hyped and take you out of the sadness mind state, or whatever it is, the despair, whatever it may be. Uptone, right? To get you out of the state where this is where you call Pookie at, right? Because you in such a horrible state, and oh my God, and before you know it, you got Pookie coming to the house. And so this is how we keep Pookie at the house, right? You can, and I tell my students, you can start here. Go ahead, play your rap, and rap will definitely change your state very quickly. But when you are now talking about going to a higher state,
right,
and reaching deeper states, when you're talking about going into meditation and hitting alpha states, theta states, you need to go into these deeper states. Rap can't take you there.
right.
What can take you there? Here are some things. Now you have some. Because women, sisters, and I'm very careful how I say this, because sisters, when they get sad, they like to play sad songs. I don't know what this is about women. I'm not gonna. Maybe it's not all women. It's just a large percentage of women that was in my classroom. When they got sad, they would play sad music. Sisters, I don't know if that's y'all case. Y'all is that y'all know?
Well. I think. I can only relate to, let's say, Mary J. Blige, right? She's a one that she just so right. I'm not. I'm just, that's just me. I'm not that type of person, but I know that a lot of people. She's relatable. Absolutely. And a lot of times when you are in that relatable state of mind, you can go with the flow. And I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna try, I'm not gonna shed a tear. You're high-fiving the reality. And
Sister Kalila, high-fiving the reality.
Yeah,
high-fiving the reality.
It's like, is it that bad? So, but
the reality.
But that's what some women do.
I was deep, just Kalila.
but honestly, that's what some women do, and because we want to be so relatable, we want to be so
right.
We're
that feeling,
right. We want to be so grouped into it, right?
So, what do men play, Brother Melvin, when they're going through the same thing, brother? From your experience, sir.
Well, men, we typically, the average man doesn't necessarily play sad songs. You may have a couple that do, but they'll go into the rap. And so what I do try to get them to do, while the sisters, here's what I like what you said. You said it's not that bad. It's bad, right. It's just not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not so bad.
And so I say to sisters, even though those songs are relatable, she has some very up-tempo songs. Sure. That you can just as connectable as that one.
Right.
And so I would recommend what I need you to understand is what I just told everybody to do is get a playlist. You're putting together a playlist. What is this playlist for? This is literally a meditation playlist. That's right. Your eyes is not closed. What I need you to understand is you don't need to close your eyes to meditate.
Okay. All right. Okay. Brother Melvin, let's talk.
Okay.
Brother Melvin.
In fact, let me tap into your meditative states that you've been in many times. There were times you daydreamed, and then somebody had to wake you up while your eyes were open. You were looking at somebody, and then you went into a daydream. You were dreaming. You was on a whole nother side of the earth, and somebody, and you literally woke up with your eyes open. That's a meditative state. You can sometimes when I'm driving in my car, I meditate.
Right.
Yes.
You say, "Oh my God, isn't that dangerous?" Only if I close my eyes.
Right.
What I'm telling you is, you can go into a meditative state with your eyes open. That's a little more advanced. I don't want to talk about that, but I just want you to understand that you don't have to meditate. You don't have to close your eyes to meditate. And so I want to give tangible, usable things that particularly in, because people find themselves in some interesting states at this particular time. So at the top of the list, before even meditating, I'm talking about the people who may medicate. Because I think you started out, Brother Muhammad, when you said that some people, they self-medicate. And before you self-medicate, and because you're taking yourself out slower. You're going, but just going slow. And so at the top of the list, I would go with a playlist. When I'm talking to my students, and I usually do the drug presentation on the first week, and I'm talking to them, and I'm sitting in front of a group of people who looking at me like, Brother Mel, what do we do now? You gave us too much about what this stuff really do.
You blew that high, Mel. You blew that high.
I blew that high. And so what do we do now? So I give them the real deal Holyfield, right? I say the first thing you do is you create a playlist. And for my older sisters and brothers who didn't know how to create playlists, I got the younger brothers and sisters to get their phone and then go to YouTube, download their favorite song. I say, don't download no sad songs for these sisters because I'm trying to help them.
Right.
I don't want to get past a point that's very serious about the connection between how we look for things to connect to our pain.
Right.
Oh, yeah, Brother Lau.
Brother Lyle.
Something there, Brother Lau.
One thing that we didn't discuss, Brother Lyle, is see, our sisters have their playlists. Men have their playlists, and like we tend to gravitate towards angry rap. They're street oriented. I mean, like, look, I was upset, about a month ago after I received some message. I ain't gonna front. I started playing some Rage Against the Machine. I started playing some G Unit. Straight up. You didn't know Brother Tony got down like that.
What I hear Brother Melvin saying is that that's actually a part of the process.
Right. Wow.
And see, I don't want our people to miss this because this is chalk more full than people think. Y'all think we just ha and he in, but there's a methodology and a practice that many people gonna die if they don't practice. Absolutely. And I love the way he talked about how, that level of music, it can take you out of a state, but where we need to go, there are higher stakes, but it's a stage, it's a process. Family, it's a process.
It is a process.
That's it, Brother Lau. It's a process. Now, Brother Melvin, I have a question because you've talked about various different, reasons and methods and things that you've done and you work with your students. I think for the audience that we've touched on meditation from a different perspective in our last show. And what you're saying to us today is saying, hey, you don't have to close your eyes. There's tons of ways of how to do it. So if I'm listening right now, and there could be many reasons, right, why somebody meditates. Why is meditating, period, in your opinion, why is it so important? What does it segue you into when I may be having a stressful day, or I may have had a night or day of stressful, and in the morning I wake up and I want to have a better day? So what's some of the reasons that would propel me to say, I want to choose Brother Melvin's method? You know what I mean? Or his style of meditation.
Great question. One of the top reasons, and I meditate and been meditating for so long, is because of maintaining my oneness. When you come from work or you come from wherever and you've had a stressful day or a bad day, and sometimes you may be still upset about a day that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago on your job. You had an argument with one of the coworkers and you keep reliving that day, and that day 2 weeks ago is affecting the day because you're still holding on to that anger, that frustration, all the emotions that's connected to that moment. And so here is what meditation does. When you meditate and you go into these alpha states and you go into a state and your mind becomes clear and you release all of the stress, your shoulders is the number one place that retains the stress.
Right.
So when you are meditating and you're sitting up straight, you want to relax your shoulders consciously, mentally, before your shoulders even move down. And then you let your shoulders go down as you exhale. And as you exhale, I want you to imagine that you are releasing all of the stress and anger and frustration that you have felt throughout the day.
Perfect place
You
to think.
feel like you're sinking into your chair. I'm sorry, somebody said something?
Yeah,
No,
you
no,
messed
no.
up the
Okay.
airwaves here.
Yeah.
You were so in your state, you
Okay, I
froze the
thought somebody
screen.
was
You became petrified, brother. Either that, you
Oh.
sank into the matrix.
freezing the screen. And so here's why when you meditating, you get into this deep state that I can literally get into in seconds. What happens is you find yourself in a place where you are no longer attached to anything, even your own personal identity.
Teach.
And in this state where you are no longer attached to anything, it's obviously easier to let things go that you are no longer attached to. And what happens when you are in this state, without even trying, you activate other components of your system that automatically, because you are no longer in a state of sadness, frustration, anger, whatever it is you've been feeling throughout the day, you automatically turn on the good chemicals. The dopamine starts dripping, melatonin starts dripping, and you start feeling joy. You start feeling happiness, and because of that joy and that happiness, because see, feelings are created by our thoughts.
Come on,
the madness is
we make that determination.
The feelings start creating thoughts. I'll say that again.
Right. Come on, say it again.
I'll say that again. I'll say that again. First, our thoughts create feelings. But then the feelings start creating thoughts that we accept and participate in. And because the thoughts are clearly not connected to any rational thing, they are usually disconnected and they take us down paths that we were not tended to be down.
Right.
Usually very dark paths. And what I would say, and I kind of got off track a little bit about the people who do a lot of Google searching and what they found in these studies. They've now come up with mechanisms to track the brain waves that connect to when people are meditating, how their brain waves, the sequencing goes down drastically. Now, when your brain waves go down, that is good because obviously you go into a deeper state, and then in that state, in fact, it is the only state where the body can actually repair itself. The mind can actually repair itself. It can't repair itself in the regular beta states. And so you have to get in those to not only replenish your energy physically, but your mental energy. Energy isn't just physical. And so when you get into these states and you go into these states, and sometimes you don't even have to go through all the training that I've gone through. Just me giving some people simple training and they do it and they slip into these deep states and they tell me, oh my God, Brother Mel, it felt like I was floating and everything. And they feel things they had never felt. When you get into that state and you come out of that state, you bring it with you. You bring all the chemicals that came with it, the chemicals that strengthens your immune system as opposed to the ones that destroy the immune system. And so if there was ever a reason to meditate.
Okay.
Kalila?
Yeah, I have a question. Now, now I have been in a meditative state to where I got to the point where I was in my state of meditation, and then tears start falling from my eyes. And the tears were because I was thinking of gratitude, just being grateful. And so the tears start rolling from my eyes. And it was like I was thinking of being present, but being present, like I was
You're
thanking,
consciously present.
right? I was thanking God for being present, being here, and this tears just start rolling from my eyes, and it just wouldn't stop. And I wasn't sad. It wasn't that I was sad. It was just that's what my body, like you said, my emotions have changed into my thoughts. It was like tears. So I was like, okay, was this something that's supposed to happen to me? Because I wasn't thinking that before I went into my meditation state. But why did I, become so emotional, but not in a sad way, but in a rejoiced way? But that's my thought was gratitude.
Your choice was gratitude.
Whoa.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Beautiful.
See, you chose gratitude, and when you choose, remember I told you, like Brother Lau, he asked, how do you protect yourself from these different things? You choose. When these, like I tell my students and I say to them, I say, every thought in your head is not your own. I know that sounds crazy. It's in my head. What hell? You know how easy it is to put a thought in somebody else's? Meaning, like, how many times have you been right down the street and all of a sudden you want McDonald's? You're like, I want McDonald's. You think that came out of your head.
Right.
You put the thought in your head that triggers you whenever you see some big yellow M's. You need to stop and get some French fries.
Right.
So, but what you just did is you chose gratitude is a higher state of energy alongside, if not, maybe even more powerful than some states of joy. Because gratitude, gratitude, from one of my teachers, when they talked about the modes, because you went into a meditative state with gratitude. Gratitude was the energy you went into. Gratitude itself has energy. Like me saying the word gratitude vibrates a energy that connects to those who hear it, and it automatically changes their thinking, their energy just a little. But if you actually say, no, I'm so thankful for whatever, and particularly when you are thankful for the connection to the force that created all that we know, there is no greater force than that. But your gratitude doesn't necessarily have to be to the highest force. To almost any force will give you height. And the particles is what I was talking about in the studies where they found out they have another mechanism that was able to visually see the particles around the person when they hit meditative state.
Like, see, he did it again. He hit that meditative state.
So deep that he.
So remind me though, when we get ready to close out and representing that great Savior's Day address about that concept of gratitude.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Somebody remind me about that.
But I wanted, but that was very interesting for me, because it was when I felt that way, I was like, what came over me was it was so heartfelt, and it was so and it made me, when I got out of my state of meditation, I began to pray. Immediately. It was like it just made me pray. So just this constantly thinking God. But I wanted to touch bases whenever Brother Mel gets back in regards to the fear mechanism that we all hold as it relates to certain things, and had this. I think I shared this some time ago about, I was sharing these dreams and these desires and these wants for my future. But it was more so I was saying these things, but as I was saying them, I said, but, and as I started talking about the but, the person who was listening to me, he said, oh, I know what your problem is. You have a fear of success. And I'm like, how is that possible that I fear success?
Right. Sister Kalila, you bring two beautiful points to mind. And I want to deal with the feel for success thing. And I know we got to get ready to round out. But before dealing with that, when you were talking about the release,
right, the release
during the meditative state, if anybody's ever tasted their tears, I've tasted mine. They're salty.
Trying to come back.
Right,
okay.
He's coming back now.
Yeah, okay. Brother Melvin's coming back.
They're salty, and just as our sweat glands release toxins from our physical self,
right?
Our tear glands release toxins from our emotional and our mental self.
Right.
And that's a beautiful release. And then the state of gratitude. But the fear of success, and I've learned this from working with young people. A lot of times when they get close to success, they sabotage their success because they're afraid they're going to be let down again. I've never graduated before. Now I'm finally getting ready to graduate. Or what happens if I stop coming to school? Or then I begin to, but that really comes from the fear of success. And Brother Melvin, since he's coming back on, you do a wonderful piece, Brother Melvin, on getting stuck on the 9 in the rotation. And a lot of times it plays into what happens on that. I don't know if that was a good place for you to pick up on. And then we gotta somehow land this meditative plane.
Brother Lyle, there was a question that I'd like to also that one of our audience members posed, which I would like to come back to also.
Okay.
Shortly.
The 9, Brother Melvin, being stuck.
Oh, okay. Yes, one of my teachers, they taught me about the power of 9. Of course, 9 is the highest number of the number system. After 9, it just repeats. And so he says that our life cycle is the cycle of 9. And when we get to that point, or the 0, we come up to what is known as the crossroads. And at that crossroads, you make a decision. You're going to take the high road. If you take the high road, you go to the next level, go to the next thing. But if you take the low road, you repeat the cycle all over again.
Family, you missed the perfection in it. You missed the perfection in it. You missed the perfection in it.
Oh my gosh!
If you don't take the high road, you end up taking the low road, and you repeat the cycle again. But whether our brother comes back up or not, we do need to go ahead and land this beautiful plane here. But so
he's wrestling against the Wi-Fi.
That's StreamYard Live.
All right. Oh man! No, there he is. Bring him back. There he is.
I'm trying.
Bring him back.
Listen,
there we go.
Darkness is in constant fight with the light.
Give the people a closing thought on that note, Brother Mel. Give them a closing thought.
I give you a closing thought is we ending on repeating cycles. And meditation is one of the best ways of getting out of a stuck cycle, because those life lessons that we got stuck in, and most times happened when we were very young children, and we imprint something that happened to us as a child, and we connect that as our identity, and then we live out the rest of that identity, and we get stuck with all the limitations that come with that identity, because that is not us. And so meditation what it does, it allows you to connect with other components of yourself that does not exist on the physical plane. While we look like we are just physical beings, we are not just physical beings. We are spiritual beings that are living in a physical body on a dense plane of experience, because we are trying to master something. So when we leave this physical plane of density, we will be better off on the next plane, which is probably not as dense. And so all I would say, if nothing else, take meditation and use it, because it is probably one of the greatest gifts that was given to our people to maintain our greatness and our benevolence and our divinity.
Brother
Thank
Melvin.
you, brother. And right now, today, that's sanity. Come on.
Wow. Brother Melvin, there is a question here. I want to do the sister justice that posed the question.
Okay.
She puts the question here. This is Sister Korisha Maat Walker. Can painting, drawing, writing, cooking, cleaning can also put us in a meditative state?
Absolutely.
I wonder if meditation is also about being in the moment, focused on the breath in whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. And she's absolutely right on point, which is why I made the point that we can meditate with our eyes open while driving down the street, while painting. In fact, painting is without a doubt a magnificent way to meditate and touch elements that probably may be a little harder to touch without it. So
I have to throw it in the mix here because it was brought up, and I can't let that thought linger without saying it. A lot of our native brothers and sisters, when they're in classroom settings, they draw.
Right.
And a lot of teachers used to fail them because they thought that they weren't paying attention. They were being distracted, when it was actually the reverse of that. They were actually using the science of drawing to grow into a state of what was being taught.
Brother Lyle, some of my students draw while we're conducting class. And I had an administrator one time come in and try to disrupt that. I said, do not do that. The child is being focused doing that. I give the child certain projects to do oriented towards what we're learning. That child, I give that child a test on everything that was covered. They're going to pass the test with flying colors.
They use the term now, Brother Tony, doodling,
right?
Oh.
Well, we're gonna call it meditating from now on. Trying to suspend my child for meditate, Brother Melvin. We're gonna have to have you back there, brother.
We got
so much more to go into.
It's mandatory.
And so many other things. That was just one topic I know this brother can really deal with. But thank you for increasing our awareness. And I have to say this as you leave, brother, to those of you who are listening. You might be all right. You might be cool. But I want you to wake up and realize how many people around you are not all right. So we need to be learning these techniques. So if nothing else, we can help other people, family. And so we thank our brother for being with us tonight. And
we lost him. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we lost him again. He
made his closing remarks, so we got him.
Yeah, he did. And I really did appreciate, his perspective, because everybody has a different way of doing meditation. And the simple fact that a lot of people who don't meditate, to know that you can do it with your eyes open, or you can utilize other things like the sister mentioned in the chat. I mean, I think it's Sister Korisha. She mentioned painting. Can you use these different things? And he's like, yeah, sure. You can painting and drawing, anything that allows you to just be in that relaxive state.
Right.
That I thought to myself, I was like, those are good things, because we don't typically normally do that. You know what I mean? And I think you can even do it. I think he mentioned running.
Yeah.
Right?
So brother's back in. He's back in. He's brother. Look, brother Melvin. I could tell you was a boxer. You keep on going.
You keep on going.
Oh. But hey, look, brother Melvin, we gonna get in trouble if we don't close out this show, dear brother. So
It's not about how many times you get knocked.
that's
We'll
right.
see another hour.
Right.
I love it.
We lost him again.
No, that was his sayonara, family. We'll bring our brother back on at another time now.
Lord.
So look,
he must
family.
have taken
Wait, time out now. As we get ready to land this plane,
Yes, sir.
you know, dear family, and we're talking about gratitude, and we got a lot of positive things that are coming up for the people.
Sure.
But I could think of nothing more positive coming up for the people than something that's taking place very, very soon, family.
Bring it, Brother Lyle.
All right.
Pull it up, Brother Lyle.
I'm trying. I hope that's where is it?
We
Where
want
is it?
everyone to tune
You got
in.
it. You got it, Brother Lyle.
I think so. Let's see. Anybody
Everyone that's
recognize
tuned into
that
this
brother right there?
program,
Is
we
it
need
up?
you to tune into this.
Can you see that? Is it up?
It's
That brother
coming.
right there?
Coming.
Oh, I see it.
There
It's
it
right there.
goes. Look
Right?
at that.
The Swan Song, family. The Swan Song. I want you to think about this. You know,
Yeah,
the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is going to be giving us an address in just a few short weeks.
Come on.
And I'm going to be the one to tell you, whether it's meditation, medication, or whether you know this or that, I would have lost my sanity and my way in life and my way to myself had it not been for the guidance and instructions of this beloved brother who belongs to us all.
That's right.
Right? And so my only thing to say to folk is, don't you be one of those people who talk about where you would have been.
That's
when
right.
our greats of the past
That's
were
right.
present, when the great of our present is present.
Come on.
What's that information? What time is that address, Brother Tony, the Savior's Day address?
Come
and
on.
the date?
Come
It's
on.
NOI.org. Is on February 27th, taking place at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, you don't want to miss it. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Swan Song.
Wow. Praise
Wow.
be to Allah.
Wow.
Can't wait, family. Can't wait.
You know, so as we reflect on that, you know, Sister Michelle, you want to do the right how you want to do this, but I know we need to make sure the landing gear I see is down, but you know,
Listen,
and I guess the tree of the week is still meditation.
It's still meditation.
Oh, it's
still meditation.
Absolutely. Still meditation.
Exactly. It's exactly. And if I'm not sounding like a robot, okay.
And we
can you
thank
guys
Danielle.
hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
You're doing your hands like
right,
this, Sister
like
Michelle.
this, right? But shout out to Danielle.
I think the internet is getting all of us.
Is it so? Okay, well, Danielle says
me?
thank you. We can hear you. She says thank you. This was very informative. I will share with my children.
I might have got lost in the matrix.
That's all right. We can still hear you.
That's
though.
all right.
All right, we're good. You can't hear us, but we can hear you. But family, tools you can use to help save lives. I guess I can't tell if Sister Michelle is there but I'm gonna act like she passed the mic to me for closing remarks. And then
she's there.
Oh, there you are.
She's there.
Sister
She's
Michelle.
moving.
Right,
she's not completely frozen, brother.
Oh my Lord.
You have to, when you go.
I don't know what's going on with all of the internet right now.
Part 3 will be how you come out of the meditative state. Obviously,
oh my Lord.
we gotta do that.
Well, we definitely got to do that again.
Seems like we're getting too deep into the meditative state. See, same thing, right? So watch it, family. Be careful with the practice.
Took us out.
Look, family, I just want to say thank you. And I want to say in real time, share this valuable information. And my closing remarks are this. If our enemy has scientifically built, made, and manufactured weapons of mental destruction, what makes you think we don't have to have practices in place to protect ourselves and to grow ourselves that are just as scientific? You know, so meditation definitely beats medication, dear family. And we hope you value something from this series that we had on it. And with that, I'll pass it to Sister Kalila.
Oh, you're getting it.
Well, Michelle is back to you.
Oh yeah, we could pass it to Sister Michelle.
Yeah, I'll if my internet, I don't know what's going on with the internet, but it is what it is. But before I go back into the matrix, hopefully you can hear me. But listen, it's been a pleasure. I think meditation for me is one of the things that I love. I think it does help set the tone. Anytime that you're stressed or you've got anxiety or you got a lot of things going on in your mind, a good tip for mindfulness and meditation as we kind of leave this, not this subject, but we leave this subject for this evening, is that just always make sure you ask yourself, are you in present time? If you're feeling stress, go touch something, a cup, a wall, go out, take a walk outside, go touch a tree, or something that allows you to hear, right? That you're in present time. So I just want to say that I love meditation. I hope that the audience has taken a lot from meditation. We enjoy, just make sure that you don't just keep this to yourself. Share it with family, friends, anyone that you think that could utilize these techniques to help them through their scenarios. And if I haven't got lost in the matrix, I thank you all, appreciate you all. And hopefully we'll see you back next Thursday. And again, like, share. So if I haven't got lost in the matrix, I hand it back over to Sister Clue.
Beautiful.
Praises be to Allah. Our children and our young adults, again, they're dying from their own hands. I'm on a study of this. I want to study the mind of our young children because it's something that is needed to be explored. It's something that needs to be researched because we have to find an answer to this. I know that our children are symbols of this society, but as Dr. Rubin indicated, when did we lose control as parents? When did we take our hands off the wheel of our children and allow them to steer the wheel, and they did not even have the mindset to do that? So I love meditation. I think that this is an excellent tool for everyone. And we need to use the term reset. I think that's a powerful word to use and not be afraid of it. Yeah, you at that level, but if you're not there yet and you're stuck,
right,
use the reset button.
That's right.
Because when you don't reset, you feel like all hope is lost. And then you go with the win of now you don't have a solution. Let's start resetting our lives today.
Good advice.
And it's okay to start over. It's okay.
That's right.
It's okay. It's okay to start over. It's better to start over than not to start at all.
That's right. Well, if you're not starting, right?
Try that one on. Come on.
Right. With that being said, I'm gonna pass it on to, and then your strength is your routine. Your strength is your routine.
So
the more whatever routine, positive routine that you put yourself in,
that's the key word.
That becomes your strength.
Positive.
So what routine you want to strengthen in? I want to strengthen in meditation. So that means I have to make it a routine of mine.
Go ahead.
Okay. Teach. I want to strengthen in my prayers. I have to make it a routine of mine.
Go ahead.
I want to strengthen in better health. I have to make it a routine of mine. And the more I make it a routine, the more I won't even think about it because it becomes a part of me.
Excellent.
All right. So I with that being said, because it's so much to explore. I'm going to pass it over to Brother Tony.
Right, there you go. All right, Brother Tony. All right, Brother Tony. All right.
That was smooth, by the way. That was
I'm going to say this, family. Just in reflection of what was said here tonight, because I received some upsetting news just yesterday. I'm not going to share what that news is, but the person that shared it with me had been concealing it for some time. At that moment, I made a decision not to get upset. Because here's the thing, in this particular time that we're living in right now, we're constantly going to be hearing about loss of life, loss of this, loss of that, upsetting news left and right. We turn on the news, all we see is upsetting news, lies.
Right.
We have to make the determination in our minds to, number one, take a step back, pray, and make the firm decision in our minds that whatever the upsetting news is, I'm not going to allow it to make me upset.
Right.
We don't do anything with just the upsetting news itself. And with the it really does not have any emotion to itself. We make the determination in our minds how to be and how to respond. We are a lot more powerful than we think we are.
Right.
Keep walking in that light that Almighty God is laying for you. It's just a trial, and we have to be in the right frame of mind to deal with the trial.
Right.
Thank God every day for every trial. It's just sharpening us to become greater and a better people. That's
so beautifully bad. Well, that's a beautiful way to end. So, family, if you haven't learned anything else by now, you know for sure that meditation leads to manifestation.
That's it. I love that, Brother Lau.
And so since the 7th Region Coalition has been manifested, and we are here in the 7th Region Coalition, and we are not a gang or a clique or a crew, but we're definitely brothers and sisters who love you.
Throw them sets up, Brother Lyle.
7th Region Coalition!
Come on, Brother Tony. Come on to the other side. See y'all next Thursday. Love y'all all. Come on.